Welcome back to the Climb the Pocket YouTube page. It's Steve and Ryan. As always, we're back this week with another 2020 fantasy football video, part of our off-season series to get you ready for the 2020 fantasy football draft season coming at the end of August, early September. I'm excited for football season. We got a fun one today that's really going to help you during your drafts. We're talking sleepers and potential league winners. So this is a video you're definitely going to want to watch and not turn off before it ends, because you're going to miss out on some high premium content, some super fire content that's going to help you win your leagues. You can find Ryan on Twitter at Bootleg Fantasy. Find me at Steve 2.0. Go check out the website, climbthepocket.com, and our Twitter at climbthepocket. Ryan, what is up?
Listen, Steve, there's not too much constant in my life currently with coronavirus, but I get to talk to you every week. So things are going well. It's 150 degrees in Pennsylvania. We're never going to get sports back, but we're here to at least provide information for you if they do come back. So I'm excited to get into our sleepers and league winners. This is always kind of a fun thing to look at because you're always looking for value. I work in finance. I'm always looking for value every single day. So these are the type of guys that you need to look at, see why people are kind of sleeping on them, and, take it from there. So I'm ready to get into it.
We are going to exploit the ADP for all these players. Let's go ahead and get into it and check out the QB sleepers. You have Drew Lock as your QB sleeper. Go ahead and dive into why he's your sleeper QB.
Listen, Steve, it's all about the talent around them at this point. You have to realize that quarterbacks are molded essentially for the offense that they're getting put into, and I love the talent around Drew Lock. He's not getting taken as a quarterback one. It's kind of unfair to put him in the QB1 area, but the talent around him is a possibility to make him a QB1. Like, the wide receivers they have are unbelievable. Like, I've been watching KJ Hamler just work out in a random park, and his ankles don't bend like normal humans, They've got Judy, they got Cortland Sutton, they've got Deshaun, they've got two great they're good running backs. They got a great backfield. They got Noah Fant. He's got Jared Goff like output potential, where you're like, I don't think he should be throwing for 350 yards in this game, but somehow he got there. And he's definitely somebody that you're going to need to keep an eye on, because he'll get you in a plus matchup, he might get you 25 to 30 points, and that's what you're looking for. If you're scouring the wire and Drew Lock's there in week 4 and he's playing at home against a bum team, Drew Lock, baby. I like him a lot this year.
Yeah, his ADP is around 150, so going nearly undrafted in a lot of leagues. Positional 21, the 21st quarterback. Last year, not too bad with the 73 touchdown interception ratio in just 5 games. There's definitely some potential there. And like you mentioned, all the players around him, I definitely like Drew Lock. And honestly, for me, all I had to do was see that one video last year where you could trace the rap song back to his lips and whatnot on the sideline. And that was just like, wow, Drew Lock's the coolest guy ever. So QB sleeper, Drew Lock. My QB sleeper, Gardner Minshew for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The way I feel about Gardner Minshew is his ADP, 155. Positional, 27th quarterback off the board. The guy was pretty good last year. He gives you rushing yards with just under 350 last year. Tossed 21 touchdowns in 14 games. If you can up that a little bit and get a little closer to, the 25, 26 mark, maintaining a lower interception rate, I think Gardner Minshew is kind of underrated. He was a rookie last year, and people just kind of brushed him off. Obviously, towards the end of the season when Nick Foles came back, he did get benched. But those are rookie woes. It's going to happen to everyone. An off season as the starter going in. And I'm pretty high on some of their offensive weapons. They have Leonard Fournette. DJ Chark was arguably a wide receiver. Was he a wide receiver 1 last year? I'm pretty sure he finished as a wide receiver 1, or at least was on a fantastic pace for the first 10 weeks. So he's a guy that's going to probably, if he plays the whole season, secure at least 3,500 passing yards, and I could see his rushing floor going up a little more, maybe hitting that 400 mark, and that's pretty good value for 27th quarterback off the board. So if you're looking late round quarterback, and a lot of people do that strategy, I think you shouldn't shy away from Gardner Minshew, especially in a 2 QB league. I would be fine with him as my QB2. Obviously, it's on the Jaguars, so that's not really a team you really want to have fantasy assets for, but a team that's going to suck and they're going to be coming from behind a lot, the quarterback is one of the positions that you wouldn't mind having. So I like Gardner Minshew as my QB sleeper. Let's go and move into the QB league winners. Your boy, Carson Wentz, league winner. Dive into it.
Listen, Steve, you get a QB winner when you draft somebody whose ADP is ridiculous, right? And listen, there's going to be another quarterback that is a little throw-in that I think has the similar potential this year, and that's Matt Stafford, right? I love Matt Stafford this year as well. He's in the same kind of area as me. But, Steve, Carson Wentz was throwing to lawn ornaments last year. He was throwing to absolute garbage. Like, no offense, random guy that they brought in week 17 that made a diving catch. Like, that was cool. I think it was Deontay Burnett. Like, great.
Only you would know that name.
Exactly. Like, I saw a stat that, like, of quarterbacks that threw for over 4,000 yards in a season, I think there was, like, 185 of them. Carson Wentz's first target was Zach Ertz, who led the team in yards. He was, like, 182nd in, like, most yards in that list for number one. So, like, Carson Wentz was throwing to slop. They added studs. I mean, Jalen Reagor, he's going to be good this year. Like, he's going to be somebody that you need to keep an eye on late in drafts because there's no Eagles inside the top 50 at wide receiver in ADP. Just a thought. But around him, I love the talent. I mean, they added Goodwin. They added a couple other rookies in the draft. I like John Hightower, but that's neither here nor there. Deshaun Jackson will be back. The offense is going to be flying. They're not going to have to commit to a Jordan Howard couple games where, like, Jordan Howard gets 25 carries. It's a quick game, but it's a boring game. Like, Carson Wentz is going to be the real deal this year. I mean, in his MVP robbed season, he was quarterback 5 and he missed a couple games. You know, like, if he finishes top 4 and you get him at ADP, I think he's quarterback 11 right now.
Wow, perfect. That's what's on the screen right now.
That's beautiful. So, like, you can't argue with getting a guy in, I don't know, like the 9th or 10th round, and he ends up being 3rd or 4th at his position. I think Wentz is going to be a league winner this year.
Yeah, I mean, his stats last year with, like you mentioned, garbage players. He played every game, but still threw for over 4,000. Had a 27-7 touchdown interception ratio. Give him some good players. He's easily getting to 32, 33, I think 35, maybe a few more interceptions, maybe not, who knows. But those are league-winning numbers from someone you're getting in the 9th, 10th round at quarterback, while other guys are taking Patrick Mahomes in round 2, and you're waiting all the way till round 9 or 10 and having that extra running back or wide receiver on your team. So the value itself makes him a league winner, and you didn't even mention it. They have the best tight end room in the whole league, and he depends on those guys. And I think Dallas Goedert's just getting better. I love Carson Wentz. You picked him. I would have picked him. I love Carson Wentz.
As long as my boy Dallas Goedert is all right. That video is brutal.
Yeah, we won't mention it, but
sure
he's sleeping still. He's sleeping still. Go ahead and move on to my league winner, Daniel Jones for the New York Giants. His draft ADP 111, somewhere around the 10th, 11th, 12th round, depending on your league size. Positional ADP 15, so not a crazy value. It kind of fits in where you think he would. But he had some pretty big games last year, especially his first game as a starter, where I think he threw for 3 touchdowns and rushed in 2, had 5 total touchdowns. Not just any type of player can do that. So we saw the light with him. The problem with him last year was he fumbled the ball more than anyone in the league, just at a crazy rate, and that has to get better. So me making him my QB league winner is assuming that he's going to improve his ball security. You know, in his 13 games as a starter, he threw for 24 touchdowns. You know, like we just mentioned, Carson Wentz in 16 games had 27. Now, obviously, Daniel Jones' receiving room and offensive weapons were tenfold compared to Carson Wentz. You know, they're just completely different. They have Darius Slayton. They have Golden Tate. They have Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, Saquon Barkley. Like, wow. Give those to Carson Wentz, and, I mean, I think he is absolutely the MVP. And that's, you know, crazy. Daniel Jones is going to give you upside on the ground. Like I said, it's going to be the ball security. Daniel Jones, you can get him in probably the 13th, 14th round in your draft because he's not a sexy name. He's only going to be on people's radars who are looking at him as a late round sleeper. And I like Daniel Jones as that guy. I think he can be a league winner. I think I project him to take a big step into his second year, which obviously can be tough with this whole pandemic going on and not having that good offseason. Carson Wentz has it on his side because he's been there in the room for a while, but this is Daniel Jones' first year in the room by himself. I think that's going to do a lot for him. I think he's a leader, and I think he's going to lead you to a fantasy football championship. So Daniel Jones, my QB league winner. Let's go ahead and move on to running back sleepers. Your running back sleeper, Damian Harris for the Patriots.
I mean, I'm gonna make this simple for you. Like, you don't have to look at Damian Harris at all as a running back, right?
Wait. FYI, I do have his stats from last year on the screen, so you're really gonna have to go up from here.
Listen, what was it? 2 carries for 4 yards or something ridiculous?
Yeah, 4 attempts, 12 yards.
Yeah, I knew there was a 4 somewhere, but it doesn't matter what Damian Harris does, right? Sony Michel is not a good running back. Like, I don't know if that's breaking news to anybody. He had the 71st best production premium, which is a measure of all things considered equal, your effectiveness, essentially. He was 71st. But the game script for the Patriots, and when Sony Michel was in there, he had the second best game script for Sony Michel. Sony Michel can't catch passes. That's known. He can't break tackles. And Bill Belichick is going to have everyone and their mother on the hot seat this year without Tom Brady. The first slip-up Sony Michel has, Damian Harris is firmly going to step in. And he's going to get all the opportunity in the world to get the same workload as Sony Michel. And you can get him at ADP, I think, 71 behind guys like Benny Snell. Yeah, I'm going to sign up for that 10 out of 10 times. I know it's a Patriots backfield. I know that you really never know who's going to be the main guy there. But James White, I think he was a Brady guy. I don't think he can run the ball. Sony Michel. So Damian Harris, I'm taking a stab at.
This is a reach sleeper because he is on one of the projected bad offenses in the league and a running back that has not had a chance yet. But I like the idea of Damian Harris because he's he's on a team that's in kind of a rebuild mode. And why not take what was he, a second round draft pick last year or somewhere around the first couple days, and you want to see what he's got. I mean, you got old Rex Burkhead there, you got Sony Michel, who's got a bad knee. Why not give the young guy a shot in the bad offense?
Brandon Bolden's still there.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
They gotta try something new.
He's a Belichick guy. All right, we'll move on to my RB sleeper. It's Cam Akers. Now, the difference in these ADP, I mean, Damian Harris is 213. He is absolutely not getting drafted, even in the deepest league. But Cam Akers is, he's at 74. So that puts you, somewhere around the 6th, 7th round, depending on your league size. Positional, 24th off the board. I just really like Cam Akers as a talent. If you watch his tape from last year, and I mean, I'm not really that big of a college football guy as watching every single game, but I do a lot of study on the tape and whatnot of these up-and-coming rookies. And Cam Akers, what he's able to do behind that horrible offensive line at FSU was pretty amazing. When find holes when they just weren't there, and his breakaway speed is honestly pretty impressive. And I like his landing spot. They got rid of Todd Gurley in LA. They bring in Cam Akers. Maybe Darrell Henderson's the guy. Maybe Malcolm Brown's still there. Who knows? But the way they use Todd Gurley is kind of like a workhorse, on the field on third down and whatnot. I think they want to keep that game plan. I don't know if Sean McVay is going to change the way he uses his running backs and implement kind of a running back by committee. They haven't done that last couple of years, and I guess there's kind of the part where we don't know exactly. But they took Cam Akers pretty dang high. I think he was the second running back off the board. They took him in the early second round, so basically a first-round running back. So I just really like his talent. Last year, 11 games, 231 attempts, so we know he can get the workload. He had almost 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns, caught the ball out of the backfield. So, 30 receptions out of the backfield in a college offense, that's pretty solid. And projecting onto the LA Rams, Jared Goff, we know he likes to throw the ball to Todd Gurley. So I think he just projects pretty well over into that offense, and I'm pretty high on that offense overall. I'm higher on Jared Goff than most people. I love Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods and Tyler Higbee. So why not throw in the running back, the new young gun who they want to get on the field? They drafted really high. Cam Akers. He's my sleeper. He's not a deep sleeper, but he's a guy that you could look to draft a little earlier than he's going and feel pretty comfortable with. So I like Cam Akers as my RB sleeper. Let's go ahead and move on to RB league winners. Matt Breida, you've been repping this guy up in a lot of our videos. Go ahead and defend it.
I love Matt Breida. You're not going to find leagues where Matt Breida is available at a discount that I'm in with you, just because Matt Breida, he's got all the. I mean, we saw it in San Francisco. The problem is they had a stable of running backs. Like he has the talent to be a very solid running back in this league. His competition's Jordan Howard. I like Jordan Howard, right? The problem is I don't think Jordan Howard can get over the fact that he's a one-dimensional back and he's not like a real big bruising back. And when the Eagles were in Jordan Howard's sets last year, it was very obvious what they were doing. Um, I think for a team that's going to be a fringy, might be able to win their division because it's a weak division team. I think they're going to need to kind of pull out some stops and have a guy that can catch passes and run the ball. Um, so I think Matt Breida, barring his hamstrings and his weak joints, can be a league winner. I think down the stretch we've seen Jordan Howard kind of peter out and the more dynamic back in the offense take over. I mean, we saw it last year with Miles Sanders. We saw it the year before with Tariq Cohen. I mean, to have defenses guessing, you need guys that can do both things. And Matt Breida, to me, can do things better than Jordan Howard in the passing game. So I think down the stretch, you'll be able to flex Matt Breida, and he might get you 20 points in a game because we've seen him do it before. So I'm excited about Matt Breida this year.
Yeah, it's the backfield's kind of got to feel like the Cleveland Browns. Like I feel like they're going to both use both guys,
Yeah.
but Matt Breida is one of the better YPA guys in the league, so I can see him winning that starting job, and Jordan Howard kind of on the back burner. So I like him as a league winner. My league winner, not another crazy sleeper, but it's Jonathan Taylor for the Colts. This goes based off completely the fact that I think something happens to Marlon Mack, whether it's an injury or they try to just phase him out and phase in the new young gun, get him started, the best offensive line in the league, arguably. And, he's going as the 15th running back. I just picked him in a dynasty league, and I feel like so good about having Jonathan Taylor. Not necessarily I'm not like super, super excited about him this year, but if he hits for this year and he's the starter after week 1, week 2, he's going to win some people some fantasy football championships. Getting him at RB 15, I feel like by the time draft day comes, like his ADP won't be where it is. It's probably going to be somewhere around the third. Is it already in the third round? I mean, wherever I got this draft ADP says it's 63, but that sounds a little low and a little late for where he's actually going. This is a guy who just fits workhorse role, and you don't find those guys necessarily out of college all the time. He had over 900 attempts at Wisconsin, 50 touchdowns, over 6,500 total yards. Like, these are big boy numbers, man. Like, he reminds me of like Zeke Elliott, like just coming in the league and just dominating. Didn't get drafted like him though. Zeke obviously a top 5 guy in a draft, but this year was a little different with a lot of wide receivers available and whatnot. But Jonathan Taylor, like I said, behind the Colts offensive line, if he can come in and win that starting job, I think he's going to win people leagues because I think you're going to end up drafting him as your RB3 or your flex guy, and having a guy like that in your flex, it's going to be nice, man. And it's going to be nice when you're holding that fantasy football trophy at the end of the year. Let's go ahead and move on to wide receiver, sleepers, Russell Gage, Atlanta Falcons. ADP 304.
I was about to guess because I can't see what the ADP was. I was about to say like his ADP is almost ridiculous at this point. Like, I don't know, I couldn't name how many guys would be in that area. Like, I don't know who he's getting drafted around. But the fact that he had 13 targets, I think, week 17. Like, when Calvin Ridley was out, he looked like he could be a wide receiver too for pretty much any other team besides the Falcons. I think on the team that throws the ball the most in the NFL, he has flex appeal. Like, there's going to be games where he had 1 target, no catches. Like, there's going to be games where he has 7 or 8 targets and he might score twice. Like, I'm very excited to see what Russell Gage can do. And like, the people that are like, I don't know about that, are the same people that had Mohamed Sanu the last couple of years. Like, he's got, like, the wide receiver 3 on the Falcons has seemingly been like a solid almost wide receiver 2 for some people's fantasy teams in deep leagues. So if you can get him at 304, like, that seems insulting. Like, you shouldn't be drafting 304 players. So
You probably wouldn't draft Gage. Yeah. I mean, wait, would you draft him or would you?
So my thing is, Steve, most of the time you're cutting the last guy that you take almost immediately, like 10 out of 10 times. If you're just going off like, this is a guy that fits the whatever.
True. Might as well take your guy then.
ADP. You might as well take a stab at somebody that you think has upside. So with Russell Gage, I mean, Austin Hooper's gone. We know who's playing tight end there now. But I think that being in the offense already is going to help him for sure. I think Russell Gage is definitely somebody to keep an eye on. And if you're in a best ball league, definitely get your hands on Russell Gage in
Mm-hmm.
an offense that threw 45 times a game last year.
Yeah.
So I like Gage a lot this year. I think he's a late round stab, but definitely not before like guys that you feel
Not
better
before
about.
anyone but your last pick. I mean,
Yeah,
dude, honestly,
I don't know.
74 targets, though, in that offense. Like you said, they throw the ball a lot. That's not bad for a guy like so low on the depth
That's
chart.
that's what I mean. Like he's a stab guy, and if anybody gets hurt in Atlanta,
Yeah.
he's immediately a 10 target a game guy. So I like the idea of having Russell Gage on your bench.
Yeah, my wide receiver sleeper is Alan Lazard, the wide receiver 2 in Green Bay. Now, this isn't really a homer pick. It's more so based off of how I feel about Aaron Rodgers and what he likes to do in his offense. Aaron Rodgers likes to go to his guys, and obviously that's why Devontae Adams is such like a targeted player because he trusts Devontae Adams. And from what you hear with Alan Lazard and Aaron Rodgers off the field, the relationship is kind of growing, and obviously he gained some trust in him last year when Alan Lazard kind of passed up Geronimo and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Remember when we were having debates about those guys last year? Who's going to be the wide receiver too? Well, I don't think we're
Uh,
having it again this year because I think people are just assuming it's Alan Lazard, and I think they rightfully are doing that. His
I was the
draft
biggest
ADP is
MVS guy.
pretty
I
darn
was
low. You could probably get him at the very end of your draft. Wide receiver 70 being drafted, and I think that's if we're gonna do what we did last year, and maybe we're all just learning from it, but we're gonna try to figure out who the wide receiver 2 is. Look where MVS was going last year in Geronimo
mhm,
Allison. They were going somewhere like round 8 and 9, almost back to back. This
yeah.
guy is barely being drafted. His size is, profile is much better. I mean, Geronimo Allison's a pretty big guy, and honestly, Marquez Valdes-Scantling is too. But like, I kind of just like what I saw last year. We had a couple big weeks where we knew that, what we saw is had potential. And with Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers, like I mentioned, the relationship's growing and whatnot. Add another year into the offense, I think he can easily, not easily, but as a sleeper, man, would you be satisfied if you got like 900 yards and like 8 touchdowns? That'd be a
Oh yeah.
pretty where he's going. That would be huge value,
Oh yeah.
and I think that's doable as a guy, like they need, a place to throw the ball. And if Alan Lazard is a wide receiver too, I don't think 8 touchdowns is unreasonable. If Aaron Rodgers tosses like 24 to 28 or 30 touchdowns, I could see Alan
Yeah.
Lazard getting 8 of those for sure. So, and at 3 last year, 52 targets. He wasn't really involved in the offense in the beginning of the year, but phased in. He's my sleeper wide receiver. Let's go ahead and move on to the wide receiver league winners. Your guy, Darius Slayton for the New York Giants.
So with Slayton, he's going as wide receiver 43. Uh, I feel like people aren't taking him early enough. I think it's mostly a big name thing. Like he doesn't have the big name that like other guys have. So he's getting slept on to me. I mean, to harken back to the production premium, he had the 10th best production premium at wide receiver. He was 21st in fantasy points per target last year. He also has never been on the field with Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, and Saquon Barkley at the same time ever. It never happened last year. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. I think he is more of a deep threat than guys like Golden Tate and Sterling Shepard, so he fits a nice role there. I like him a lot. I mean, Danny Dimes, if he progresses in year 2, I mean, Darius Slayton could find himself wide receiver 2 territory with who knows what upside depending on how well Golden Tate plays. You're getting for him. You're drafting him as a bench wide receiver, and if he works his way into the starting lineup for your team and he's a consistent 16, 17 fantasy points per game guy, you can't ask for more.
Yeah, I mean, huge yards per reception, over 15 last year, 84 targets. I could see him being the wide receiver 1 on that team, and I just took him in a dynasty league, and I feel pretty good about that too. I really like how he projects. Golden Tate's getting older, they have Sterling Shepard, obviously a good talent, but I feel like Darius Slayton's passing him up on the depth chart. Let's go ahead and move up. Mentioned him earlier. My wide receiver league winner is DJ Chark. Draft ADP 50 overall, positional ADP wide receiver 21. Dude was on a crazy pace last year in the beginning of the season. I mean, He had weeks 1 through 10, he had 8 touchdowns. Those were all of his touchdowns. So the dude fell off a cliff in the touchdown department. Still had, a lot of yards, had 118 targets, caught the ball 73 times. Gardner Minshew gets better. I know it's going to happen. I mentioned him earlier. DJ Chark's a wide receiver 1. He's a wide receiver 1. He's being drafted as a late wide receiver 2. I really don't see a different path to his value alone. Just right now, if you took him a wide receiver 21 and he returns wide receiver 11 value, that's a huge jump and a huge advantage on your league right there. 13.8 yards per reception, and the dude's just an animal. He came out of nowhere last year because no one expected DJ Chark. Was that his second season last year, DJ Chark? I know he battled injuries in his rookie season.
Yes.
So, I know he had some upside as his rookie season, but he got hurt, kind of didn't really play all year. And then last year just comes out of nowhere with Gardner Minshew, who's not a proven quarterback at all. So, give these guys another offseason to, gain some chemistry and whatnot. I think DJ Chark, if you find him somewhere in round 5 or if he slips to you in round 6 or something like that, that would just be incredible value because there's some guys that are going to be kind of busty up there in the first couple rounds, and man, if someone busts and they could have had a guy like DJ Chark, I think they're definitely gonna be missing out on him. Let's go ahead and move on to tight end sleepers. Irv Smith didn't add the junior, but Irv Smith Jr. for the Minnesota Vikings, draft ADP 225 overall, tight end 28.
Listen, I don't think Kyle Rudolph has another year in him where he's annoying enough to not play, but he's still kind of relevant as a fantasy tight end. That's just how Kyle Rudolph has been, at least to me. I think this is Irv Smith's year of the takeover. I think this is the year that the torch is passed. Irv Smith had 7 red zone targets last year, which was that? He was 11th in red zone targets last year. I'm very excited for that number to increase. Stephon Diggs is gone, so they need another target. Is BC Johnson going to garner all of Stephon Diggs' targets with the addition of Justin Jefferson? No, I don't think so. I think Irv Smith is going to be relevant in an offense that's going to show a lot of run. They're going to have to. So having a tight end that can catch passes and look decent out there is key. So I think Irv Smith is going to be that guy this year. I don't think Kyle Rudolph just can physically take the pain of playing constantly at the age he's at now. So I think it's an Irv Smith year, and I'm excited to see him sneak into close to top 15, probably top. He's probably going to be a top 15 tight end. He's going to be somebody that you can definitely rely on. And I don't know if he's going to sneak into the top 10, but there's going to be games where you think, oh, he looks really good. So I'm excited about Irv.
Yeah, I don't think top 15 is unreasonable at all. I did a little thing, a top 7 tight end last year, and I took Jared Cook's numbers, was 43 receptions, Irv Smith had 36. 700 yards, Irv Smith had 311. 9 touchdowns. You could play with some yards and touchdowns, but he had 2. So to be 15, I don't think it's going to be that hard for him to get him. I think if he adds another 200 yards and there's receptions, maybe 3 more touchdowns, he's easily a top 15 guy. Someone you can get super late in your draft. Like you said, if you think that Kyle Rudolph's no longer the guy and Irv Smith's moving in, easily a top 15. My tight end sleeper, a guy that we love to talk about, is Jack Doyle for the Indianapolis Colts. We've talked to him on previous videos, and I'll just keep hammering the fact that he's Phillip Rivers' guy. Whether you think Phillip Rivers is good or not, Jack Doyle is already his guy, and I don't even think they've seen each other face to face. He is his guy. Draft ADP 159, tight end 19. Who else do they have? Trey Burton? Well, he missed the whole season last year, did he not? Jack Doyle's been on the field, played 16 games last year, had 72 targets, only 43 catches, but close to 500 yards, 4 touchdowns. But who is he working with? Not good quarterbacks. But Phillip Rivers, not a good quarterback, but a guy that loves to feature the tight end in the offense. Hunter Henry was great with Phillip Rivers. Obviously, we know Antonio Gates was with Phillip Rivers. So, move him over to the Colts. Jack Doyle is now as good as Antonio Gates. Hot take. All right. He's probably... okay, maybe he's not. But let's look at the tight end 7 numbers again. 43 receptions, 700 yards, 9 touchdowns. I think Jack Doyle can be tight end 7 last year, for this year with those numbers, Last year, the quarterback he's dealing with, not as good as Rivers, or at least throwing to the tight end. So 448 yards last year. he moves up to 600, easy, 615. Give him an extra 15 right there. Add 3 more touchdowns, he's at 7. He's already tight end 9, and he's being drafted at tight end 19. Like I just made Jack Doyle a top 10 tight end in less than 5 seconds. That's what happened. Jack Doyle, he's a sleeper. I feel like he's going to be my favorite sleeper. If I go late tight end in not all my drafts, but any draft, I'm taking Jack Doyle. Or I'm taking him as a late flyer. I'll take a tight end like around like round 9 or 10, and then I'm taking Jack Doyle last round if no one takes him.
The Noah Fant, Jack Doyle stack this year is going.
It's going to be awesome. You know, you might have 2 really good guys that you can trade. Oh man, we've talked about this before, but trading a tight end, like having a tight end you can trade. Do the same thing with a quarterback too. You draft a quarterback super late that you think has high upside, trade a quarterback. Man, that's like free cash in the pocket in a fantasy league. So love that. Tight end league winners, your guy, Tyler Higbee, our guy. I think everyone's guy this year.
That's the issue.
His ADP screaming up.
That's the issue, Steve. We saw what he did last year. He was 10th in fantasy points per game at tight end. After, I don't know,
I've got the stats. Let me help you out. 2019 week 11 to 15, 522 yards, 43 catches and 2 touchdowns.
That's the production we want, Steve. I'm glad that you took some time out of you acquiring a home. Congrats on that.
I didn't put his full 2019 stats. I just put 11 through 15.
That's all we need. Because the first 10 weeks he was targeted as much as I was in my living room. So once the Rams figured out that they actually had a decent tight end, no offense, Gerald Everett, you're still pretty good. You're not as good as Tyler Higbee. I digress. Once they figured out he was a good tight end, he looked like, I don't know, the world's greatest tight end. I don't think that's going to happen.
Tank, dude, he was a tank.
I don't think he's going to be the world's greatest tight end, right? But he can challenge the top 3 in fantasy points if he gives you 80% of what he gave you those like the last couple weeks of the year. I think he's going to be a top 5 tight end. Wow. I don't think that's crazy to say. After Ertz, it's kind of a hodgepodge of injury-plagued guys.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Higbee is definitely somebody that has the talent and the opportunity to be in the top 5. Who's to say? Me, personally. He led the Rams in red zone targets last year. I think he had close to 30% of their red zone targets went to Tyler Higbee. And he was not targeted frequently in the first 10 weeks of the year. So I'm very excited to see what they do with him. If you get Higbee and Jack Doyle, as long as Jack Doyle is your security blanket, everything's going to be fine.
I love Jack Doyle. Oh, God.
Listen,
I hate how much I love Tyler Higbee because everyone is on him now. I hate it. And if he gets too high, I mean, if you're projecting him as possibly a top 5 tight end, I guess you'd be willing to reach for him. But he's already at ADP 73, tight end 8. You really can't get much higher. I would rather have him over guys like Hunter Henry and possibly Evan Ingram too, because those guys have injury issues, and the quarterback situation ain't so good with Hunter Henry compared to Jared Goff. And
you can get discount Tyler Higbee. And I think that's your league winner, Steve.
It is. It's Hayden Hurst. Another guy that these 2 guys are probably the most popular tight ends of the fantasy offseason. No doubt. Tyler Higbee, a guy in the top 10, most popular. Hayden Hurst, a guy outside the top 12, positional ADP at 13, 121 overall, so you're getting him pretty late in your draft. He's a guy I could see his ADP rising up to around 100, and then probably the tight end, maybe 9 at the highest if the hype gets so real, right behind Higbee. I could see it. Didn't have much of a crazy season last year. Obviously, they had like a kind of weird offense with Lamar Jackson's basically a second running back, and they just run the ball like at an extremely high rate. Still had 350 yards, 30 catches, a couple touchdowns. The thing is now he's on Atlanta, and what Austin Hooper was doing last year was pretty great. Austin Hooper hadn't been too great in years before that, at least performing at the production that he was performing last year. If that same production, let's say 85% of that production goes to Hayden Hurst, dude's going to be a top 8 tight end, top 7 tight end. Like Austin Hooper was the tight end 1 through like week 6 or something like that, or whenever he got hurt.
It was something ridiculous.
Yeah, he was at a crazy production rate. And Hayden Hurst moves in there. A lot of people were pretty high on him out of college, and he hadn't really had the opportunity in Baltimore. Obviously, they kind of had quite a bunch of tight ends there. They had Mark Andrews. They had Nick Boyle. How do you choose one? Hayden Hurst didn't really have the opportunity, but now he's in a pass-happy offense. coming from the most run-heavy offense, maybe next to San Francisco. I'm not sure. They're definitely 1-2. So he goes to a really pass-happy offense, where you mentioned that Russell Gage as wide receiver 3 can be fantasy viable. So why not the tight end? And they brought in Todd Gurley, who knows if he's going to hold up. We don't know. Exactly. Why not dump the ball off to your tight end on the goal line right there? I think Hayden Hurst fits that role just fine. We know Julio Jones ain't catching no touchdowns, so like Hayden Hurst is catching them all. Off the top of my head, his projections for this year, 713 yards. Oh, yeah, 700. Matt Ryan's going for 5,000. All right, we got 713 yards, 8 touchdowns with 69 catches. Man, that'd be a lot. That'd be a lot. But I think that's a pretty good stat line off the top of my head, and I don't know where that puts him. But he's going to be a top 10 tight end, and he's going to be a league winner for your team. Man, can we just keep this page? This should be our thumbnail right here. Tyler Higbee, Hayden Hurst. These guys are just studs, rising up draft rankings and whatnot, man. But there you have it. Our QB, running back, wide receiver, and tight end league winners and sleepers. We hope you like this video a lot. Ryan, any last second thoughts?
I appreciate last week our video had the longest retention time. So
let's go.
It took you guys the longest time of all of our videos to get rid of us. So
hey, if you watch any other videos, and you're watching this one right now, you better sub to the channel because you obviously love us.
Yeah, so I appreciate the video last week. We're starting to grow, Steven, and it's exciting, and I'm excited to continue this train with the Jack Doyle train. Actually, every tight end.
We're just tight ends. We are like super hyped right now by tight ends. We're super hyped.
Yeah, so I'm excited, Steve. It's going to be a great year, and I look forward to another video next week.
Yeah, definitely. Drop your comment below of your sleepers and league winners, preferably league winners, because that's what's going to win us a fantasy football championship. Go ahead and check out the website. Follow us on Twitter, and thumbs up this video. We really appreciate it. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Bye.